This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, October 25th, 1990, there would be a massive boxing match between Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield. This was no main match. This was practically for the heavyweight belt, the WBA, WBC, and IBF championship. All that from the Mirage in Paradise, Nevada. So anyway, Buster Douglas coming into the fight was a 34-1 fighter with 20 knockouts, which is shocking because, you don't think heavyweight champions would actually have 4 losses heading into their big fight. Evander, the real deal Holyfield, was 24 and donut with 20 KOs. Buster from Columbus, Holyfield from Atlanta. Buster Douglas was 30 years old when he fought Evander Holyfield, who was 28. Douglas was 6'4", Holyfield was 6'2". Douglas weighed 246, whereas Holyfield weighed 208, orthodox style. And Holyfield was the number 1 ranked challenger. So anyway, there would be a massive background to this thing. Evander Holyfield was the cruiserweight champion for all 3 divisions. Well, all 3 sanctioned bodies. Cruiserweight is the second highest boxing weight division behind heavyweight. So Holyfield decided to take on the top heavyweights. In his first fight at the heavyweight position, he took down James Tillis by knockout and then KO'd Pinklin Thomas. Then Holyfield looked like he would be the new number 1 contender for Mike Tyson's championship, who had won the straps, the last one from Michael Spinks in 1988. They decided to sign a fight for June 18th, 1990. And the fact that Tyson decided to take a tune-up fight against Buster Douglas was huge. Everyone was thinking about Holyfield Tyson and all that. So they decided to have the Tyson-Douglas match in Tokyo because no American venue wanted to host this thing or give odds and all that. Despite being regarded as a top contender, Buster Douglas's reputation was as a lazy, out-of-shape fighter who did not pay attention to his training. And most casinos didn't want to make odds for the fight. The Mirage gave Tyson a 42-1 favorite, which practically means if you bet $10 on Buster Douglas, you get $420 back if you had it. Douglas was not given much chance. Tyson not only was undefeated, he only got the distance 4 times in his career. And the last time someone took Tyson past the 5th round was 1987, and it was Tyrell Biggs. So Douglas had other plans and subjected a stunned championship to a severe pounding. Tyson was very unprepared. It was mostly his fault for taking the fight lightly, and it was also his corner's fault for not giving the proper equipment. The corner did not bring the proper equipment to the fight, with no ice bag or end swell, and they had to use a latex glove filled with water to try to reduce the swelling to his eye. So anyway, it was just unbelievable that Tyson would do that. Of course, Tyson had new cornermen because he fired his main guy, Lou Duva, for some fucked up reason. And Kevin Rooney. Or was it Lou? I think it was Kevin Rooney. But anyway, yeah, that was pathetic. Tyson actually thought he won the fight in the 8th round. But unfortunately, the bell sounded to end the round, so that saved Douglas. Douglas shocked a lot of people by, in the 10th round of that fight, knocking Tyson out. Putting him on the canvas was hard enough. And then Buster Douglas had done it, and everyone was just shocked in Tokyo. Don King, Tyson's promoter, was upset, saying that the referee Octavio Mayron did not properly count the knockdown on Douglas from the 8th round, saying that Douglas was down for 10 seconds. The WBA and WBC actually agreed with King and all that. But after public backlash, King actually rescinded his protest. Tyson wanted a rematch with Buster Douglas, but Buster thought it would be proper to defend his title against the top contender, which was Holyfield, which I think he probably had to do in a sense. There would be a $32 million purse. Douglas would get 3/4 of it for about $24 million, and Holyfield would get $8 million, which was kind of shocking. Holyfield deserved more. Anyway, the Mirage Hotel and Casino was picked for the venue and all that. Anyway, the casino mogul, Steve Wynn, who was the chairman, wanted to do the pay-per-view international sales through his own organization instead of going through Showtime or HBO in a sense. I mean, the rights fees happened and all that. Well, the fight would be huge and all that. Holyfield seemed to be the real deal and maybe a contender for the number one belt. Maybe he would have beaten Tyson if Tyson had still had the belt. People probably didn't think Buster Douglas was going to do it. I mean, I know he beat Tyson, but like Holyfield was just as good, if not better. The only problem was that Buster Douglas wasn't himself. And unfortunately, being the champion, sometimes you get all the perks and all that, and you want to live your life to the fullest. Unfortunately for Douglas, he weighed in at 246 pounds, 15 pounds heavier than the Tyson fight. So practically, Buster Douglas was coming in 15 pounds heavier, and a lot of people were upset that this was going to be it, that he didn't take things seriously enough. Meanwhile, the undercard happened. There were 6 fights. Kenny Wack beat Jose Emmanuel Ferreira. David Sample beat Steve Barrios. Floyd Weaver beats Michael Ward. Hugo Ariel Hernandez beat Musanda Chiungu. Andrew Maynard took out Keith McMurray, and Riddick Bowe, who would soon be a heavyweight title contender and would fight Holyfield and Galata to fight, would beat Burt Cooper. So Showtime hosted it for the United States audience and all that. Holyfield dominated the sluggish Douglas for the first few rounds. In the third round, Douglas attempted to hit Holyfield with an uppercut. Unfortunately, he missed Holyfield completely and knocked himself off balance. Holyfield saw his chance and countered with a straight right to Douglas's chin, knocking the champion flat on his back, and that was easy and all that. Douglas had to be out on the canvas twice before he got to his corner. So practically Douglas telegraphed his punch. Like Holyfield saw what was coming. He missed Holyfield completely and knocked himself off balance. And Holyfield countered with a straight right to Douglas's chin. So practically Douglas dug his own grave in a sense. I think they parodied this in the Simpsons episode when Homer becomes a boxer and then using bums as a way to get up in the heavyweight division, Homer would fight Dredrick Tatum, which is of course a parody of Mike Tyson. And Homer was told by Marge to hit Dredrick Tatum. And so he tries to, but Homer is terrible with his punches. And Dredrick easily dodges it and then bops Homer on the top of the head. Yeah, I think they did that. And then that was a parody and all that. Regardless of that, it was over in 3 rounds. Just like that. Douglas, of course, would be heavily criticized for his excessive weight gain and his lackluster in-ring performance. I mean, dude had a $24 million purse for 3 rounds. That was it. Anyway, there would be no chance for a Douglas-Tyson rematch, obviously, because Douglas just couldn't do it. He called Douglas's performance disgraceful. That would be the end of Buster Douglas, as he ended up leaving boxing. But he came back in 1996, winning 8 of his last 9 fights. His loss was to Lou Severisi. So at least he did okay. But the problem with the Buster Douglas thing was that dude almost never made it to his comeback in 1996. In 1994, he apparently fell into a diabetic coma because he was weighing close to 400 pounds and he almost died. So, like, the guy basically had issues. He had issues because of his dad riding him and training and all that. And the loss to Holyfield really ruined him. But he did ruin himself by not taking things seriously. I mean, he was the heavyweight champion. Everyone wanted to give him all the perks. And Buster Douglas was part of a WWE angle in 1990. Holyfield would not defend the title he won from Douglas until April 19th, 1991 against George Foreman, who was returning from retirement. Foreman took Holyfield to the distance by decision. So, yeah, Holyfield won. They wanted to have Holyfield versus Tyson, and finally, November 1991 was going to be what would happen with those two guys. I mean, Tyson beat Canadian Razor Ruddock in 2 fights. Unfortunately, though, Tyson got hurt, and then Tyson had his own problems with the subsequent arrest and incarceration for raping Desiree Washington. Holyfield decided to fight Bert Cooper November 1991 in Atlanta. Cooper actually nearly got Holyfield in the 3rd round. If you look at the fight tape, Cooper almost made the massive upset of Holyfield, just like Douglas did to Tyson. Fortunately, though, for Holyfield, he did win in the 7th round, but he still gave Cooper props and all that. Holyfield made one more defense of his title against Larry Holmes in June 92 before losing to Riddick Bowe, who was a part of the undercard of Douglas Holyfield. So Holyfield would actually regain a couple of belts from Bowe in a 93 rematch, but lost to Michael Moore in 94, who then got defeated by George Foreman. It happened. Holyfield had to retire because of a heart condition, but it was a misdiagnosis. So he came back to the ring and beat Tyson in November 96 to win the heavyweight title 3 times. And then in the 97 rematch was when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear. So anyway, that's what happened. It was just amazing what could happen. And, Buster Douglas did deserve to lose to Holyfield. After all, he took Holyfield a little too lightly and all that. He didn't take Tyson lightly, and he freaking beat him, but he took Holyfield maybe a little bit too lightly, and he lost it. $24 million for 3 rounds and being out of shape. Jeez, I wish Homer Simpson did that. Anyhow, I'm jumped on to do.